Have you ever sat at the kitchen table, fork in hand, looking at that sunny side up egg and quietly wondered, is this helping me or quietly hurting me? You're not alone. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott. For over 35 years, I've cared for men in their 50s, 60s, 70s, men who were sharp, wise, still curious about their health. And this one question keeps coming up. Are eggs good or bad for me now? Not 10 years ago, not in your 30s, now, when every bite carries a little more weight. See, for years, eggs were blamed for everything from clogged arteries to heart attacks. Then, overnight, they were reborn as a superfood. And that flip-flop left a lot of folks, especially older adults, in the dark. But here's what I can tell you. Not as a headline chaser, but as a physician who's walked beside thousands of older men through their health journeys. The humble egg can either be a quiet healer or a slow saboteur. It all depends on three things: how many you eat, how you cook them, and what you put next to them on your plate. That might sound simple, but trust me, it makes a world of difference. And in the next few minutes, I'll walk you through exactly why. We'll look at how eggs affect your muscles, your memory, your testosterone, your circulation, even your mood. I'll show you the best ways to prepare them, the smartest foods to pair them with, and the one cooking mistake that quietly turns a good egg into a risk you don't want to take. Because what you eat for breakfast, it's not just about today. It's about how strong you'll feel 10 years from now. So if you're ready, let's crack this open together. 1. The muscle secret hidden in your morning egg. Let me ask you something simple but serious. When was the last time you noticed your strength slipping? Not from a bad night's sleep or a long walk, but something quieter, like having to use your hands to push yourself up from a chair, or getting winded carrying groceries, or feeling your legs give out on the stairs. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. I've seen this pattern in men for decades. Smart, capable men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. They chalk it up to getting older. But most of the time, it's not just aging. It's something called sarcopenia, the gradual, silent loss of muscle that begins after 60 and accelerates unless you fight it. Now, here's the part most people don't realize. You can lose up to 1% of your muscle mass every year after 60. It may not sound like much, but stack it up over time, and you've got the recipe for weakness, slower reflexes, falls, joint stress, even trouble with recovery from simple injuries. So where does the egg come in? Right in your refrigerator, waiting quietly, is one of the most underrated tools to fight muscle loss, the humble egg. Each egg contains about 6 to 7 grams of high-quality complete protein, meaning it has all 9 essential amino acids your body needs to preserve and repair muscle, but cannot make on its own. Unlike red meat, eggs are easier to digest, lower in saturated fat, gentler on aging kidneys, and faster to prepare. No grill, no fuss. But here's the kicker. That protein doesn't just support your arms and legs. It also supports your testosterone, blood sugar regulation, insulin sensitivity, and yes, the pelvic floor and vascular muscles involved in male performance. In other words, when you feed your muscles, you also feed your manhood. Bottom line, if you've been feeling weaker, slower, or less steady lately, don't assume it's just part of aging. Look at what's on your breakfast plate, because a single well-cooked egg chosen wisely might be the first step to rebuilding the strength you thought was slipping away. Not with hype, not with gimmicks, just real food, real protein, real science. 2. Choline, the brain performance nutrient that 90% of seniors lack. Let me tell you about James. He was 72 when he first came to see me. A sharp man, former project manager, led teams, remembered everyone's birthdays. But lately, something was off. He said, "Doc, I'm forgetting names, losing track of conversations, and just last week I left the stove on." He wasn't panicking, but he was worried. And truthfully, I was too. Because for men over 60, even small slips in memory can feel like the beginning of something worse. But what James and most men don't realize is that part of the problem isn't in the mind, it's in the diet. Enter choline, a nutrient so essential for your brain, yet over 90% of older men aren't getting enough. Choline helps your body make acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that powers memory, focus, learning, muscle control. Without it, your brain can't fire clearly. You feel foggy, forgetful, like the lights are on, but dimmer. And here's the beauty of it. One egg, yes, just one egg delivers nearly 30% of your daily choline needs. No powders, no pills, just real food. But the benefits don't stop there. Choline also repairs brain cell membranes, reduces inflammation, and may help protect against cognitive decline and memory loss. In fact, long-term studies show older adults with higher choline intake had sharper recall, less brain shrinkage, and a slower rate of mental decline over time. So what did James do? He added eggs back in, not as a magic fix, but a quiet choice to feed his brain again. And just a few weeks later, he smiled and told me, "Doc, I feel more like myself again. Not younger, not perfect, just clearer." So if you've been feeling scattered, slow, or not quite yourself, don't rush to blame your age. Your brain might just be hungry for the nutrient it's missing. And lucky for all of us, you don't need a prescription. You just need to crack open the right egg.
3. Eggs, eyes, and erections. The surprising vision connection. Ron was 69. Tall, silver-haired, ex-military. Still walked like he had a mission to complete. But during a quiet moment in my office, he laughed and said, "Doc, I can't read the menu without squinting, and I'm starting to feel the same way in the bedroom." He said it with a smile, but behind it was a real concern. And what Ron didn't know is that his two struggles, vision and performance, were actually connected through something most men overlook, circulation. So what does the egg have to do with all this? Inside that golden yolk are two powerful antioxidants, lutein and zeaxanthin. Most people associate them with eye health, and they'd be right. These nutrients help filter harmful blue light, protect the retina, and slow the progression of age-related vision loss, especially macular degeneration. But here's the twist. They don't just protect your eyes. They're also found in the brain and the male reproductive system, where they support microcirculation, the tiny blood flow that matters when clarity and confidence are on the line. So when Ron said, "I can't see clearly and I don't feel as strong down there," what he was really describing was reduced blood flow in two very different places. And here's where eggs shine. Unlike lutein in spinach or kale, which can be harder to absorb, the lutein and zeaxanthin in eggs come packaged in fat, making them far more bioavailable to your body. In other words, your body doesn't just consume it, it uses it. So it's not about eating more spinach, it's about eating smarter. Ron made one small change. He started soft-boiling his eggs a few mornings a week. No bacon, no toast drowned in butter. Just eggs, gently cooked, paired with spinach or avocado. A month later, he told me, "My eyes feel better. I'm reading without squinting again. And, well, things are working better in other ways, too." He winked. I smiled. Mission accomplished. So here's the message, plain and simple. If your vision's getting weaker, if your energy in the bedroom isn't what it used to be, it might not be age. It might be circulation. And one humble egg could help bring it back. Feed your eyes, feed your blood flow, feed your strength. It's all connected.
4. The great cholesterol debate, separating myth from male health. I've lost count of how many men have leaned across my desk, lowered their voice like they were confessing a sin, and said, "Doc, I still eat eggs, but I don't tell my cardiologist." Older men carry a quiet guilt about cholesterol, thanks to decades of fear around egg yolks. For years, eggs were painted as heart bombs, blamed for clogged arteries, strokes, and early death. But what if I told you the science has shifted, and your breakfast might not be the villain after all? Let's clear the air. Yes, one egg yolk contains about 185 to 200 milligrams of cholesterol. But your body's smarter than that. When you eat more cholesterol, your liver makes less. Like a thermostat, it balances itself. For most men without heart disease, up to one egg a day isn't just safe, it's beneficial. Still not sure? Let's look at the data. Studies from Harvard, the Mayo Clinic, and the British Medical Journal show no consistent link between moderate egg intake and heart disease. In fact, many egg eaters have better HDL, the good cholesterol. The real problem isn't the egg, it's what's next to it on the plate. Take this: fried egg, bacon, white toast with butter. That's not breakfast, that's inflammation on a plate. Now try this: poached egg, avocado, whole grain toast, a drizzle of olive oil. That's breakfast that supports your arteries, not attacks them. One of my patients, Bill, a retired firefighter, once said, "Doc, I miss eggs, but not enough to risk my heart." So we didn't cut the egg. We changed the approach. No frying, no bacon, just clean cooking and smart pairings. 3 months later, his numbers were better. But more importantly, he wasn't afraid of food anymore. So here's the bottom line. The egg isn't your enemy. The real danger lies in how you cook it and what you serve beside it. Cook gently, pair wisely. Because when you stop fearing your breakfast, you might just start feeling alive again. 5. Vitamin D plus B12, the mood and bedroom booster. Harold was 68 when he sat down in my office and said something I won't forget. "Doc, I'm not depressed, but I don't feel like myself anymore. I'm tired, irritable, and my wife says I'm not as present." He wasn't sad, he wasn't sick, but something inside him was running low. And blood work confirmed what I suspected. 2 silent deficiencies most men over 60 overlook: vitamin D and vitamin B12. Let's start with vitamin D. Most people think it's just for bones, but vitamin D also supports immune strength, regulates mood, and plays a surprising role in testosterone production and blood flow. Low vitamin D doesn't just leave you tired, it leaves you flat, hormonally and emotionally. And B12, that's your nerve shield. Without enough B12, men often report brain fog, tingling or numbness, slower reflexes, and yes, a drop in bedroom confidence. It's not aging, it's your nervous system asking for backup. Now, here's where eggs quietly help. One large egg gives you 10% of your daily B12, a modest but meaningful dose of vitamin D, especially if you choose pasture-raised or fortified eggs. No pills, no injections, just real nutrition built into your breakfast. Harold didn't do anything drastic. He added 2 eggs to his morning a few times a week. That was it.
A month later, he came back smiling and said, "Doc, I don't know what changed, but I feel like myself again. Not superhuman, just steady, clear, whole." So if you've been feeling off, not down, just off, don't ignore it. It might not be stress or age or just life. It might be a vitamin whispering for attention. And sometimes the answer really is this simple. Add the egg, rebuild the spark.
6. The cooking trap that turns eggs into a hidden risk. One morning, a patient told me proudly, "Doc, I eat eggs every day, scrambled in butter with bacon on the side. Healthy, right?" He meant well, but what he didn't know was that his cooking method, not the egg itself, was quietly working against him. Here's the truth. When you cook eggs over high heat, especially with butter or bacon grease, you're doing more than adding flavor. You're creating oxidized cholesterol, the kind that damages blood vessels, triggers inflammation, and promotes plaque buildup in the arteries. Pair that with processed meats like bacon or sausage, and you've got a recipe for circulatory trouble, not vitality. But the solution is simple. Switch to gentle cooking, soft-boiled, poached, or low-heat scrambled with olive oil and veggies like spinach or tomatoes. These methods preserve delicate nutrients like choline and lutein, reduce harmful compounds, and support your heart, brain, and testosterone at the same time. One of my patients made that one change. Same eggs, different pan, less heat. A few weeks later, he told me, "Doc, I haven't changed what I eat, just how I cook it. My blood pressure dropped, my energy's back, and I feel lighter." So here's the takeaway. The egg isn't the problem. It's the heat, the grease, the company it keeps. Cook smart. Keep it gentle. Because when you protect your egg, you protect everything that matters inside you. 7 egg pairings that hurt and help male performance. George was 74, retired mechanic, proud grandfather, ate eggs every day, faithfully. But one day he asked me, "Doc, I've been eating clean. Why don't I feel stronger?" So I asked him what he was eating with the eggs. His answer? White toast, butter, sausage, and sometimes a little sugary cereal on the side. I smiled gently because this is the trap so many men fall into. They focus on the egg but ignore the company it keeps. Let me be blunt. Pair your eggs with processed meats like bacon or sausage, white bread, sugary sides. You're canceling out the benefits. What you're really feeding your body is sodium, nitrates, refined carbs, and fat that inflames, not fuels. The result? Sluggish mornings, blood sugar crashes, hormone imbalance, and yes, less strength where it matters most. But here's the fix. Simple, delicious. Pair your eggs with avocado for healthy fats, spinach or tomatoes for antioxidants, whole grain toast for fiber and blood sugar control, a side of berries, a spoon of Greek yogurt, or a few almonds. These foods don't just add flavor, they amplify your results. Better circulation, stable energy, sharper mood, stronger performance. George made the switch. Same eggs, but now with whole food on the side. A month later, he looked at me and said, "Doc, I didn't know food could make me feel this good." So here's your takeaway. It's not just the egg, it's the plate. Make it count, because when you pair smart, you power every part of who you are. 8. Your weekly egg plan for vitality, performance, and longevity. Most older men don't need fads. They don't need superfoods from the Himalayas or diets with names they can't pronounce. They need clarity and a plan they can actually follow. So here's what I give my patients: a simple weekly egg rhythm that supports circulation, hormone health, and stable energy. No calorie counting, no strict rules, just consistency. Monday: 2 soft-boiled eggs with sautéed spinach and half an avocado. Boosts nitric oxide, testosterone, and morning blood flow. Wednesday: veggie scramble with 3 eggs, olive oil, bell peppers, onions, and mushrooms. Brain fuel, gut-friendly, antioxidant-rich. Friday: 1 poached egg on whole grain toast, sliced tomato, plus drizzle of olive oil. Heart protective, anti-inflammatory, satisfying. On off days, skip the egg, not the protein. Choose Greek yogurt with nuts, a smoothie with flaxseed and protein powder, cottage cheese with berries. The key is rhythm, not rigidity. You're not aiming for perfection. You're aiming for long-term strength without burning out. I've seen this plan work wonders. Lower blood pressure, steadier testosterone, better sleep, sharper moods, and for many men, a quiet but unmistakable return of confidence. One patient told me, "Doc, I don't feel like I'm fighting my body anymore. I feel like I'm finally working with it." So don't just eat eggs randomly. Eat them with purpose. Build your week around foods that build you up. Because when you feed your body in rhythm, you age in rhythm with strength, clarity, and control.
9. What science really says about eggs, cancer, and prostate health. Let's talk about the question that lingers in the back of many men's minds, but rarely gets asked out loud. Doc, do eggs increase my risk of cancer? Especially prostate cancer, which men over 60 know all too well. And I get it. There have been headlines, studies, confusion, fear. So let's cut through the noise and go straight to the science. The concern started years ago. One small study suggested that eating 7 or more eggs per week might be linked to faster progression of prostate cancer. But here's what that study didn't show: how the eggs were cooked, what the men ate with them, or what the rest of their lifestyle looked like. It was a correlation, not a cause. And since then, larger, better designed studies have told a clearer story. Here's what the science now shows. Eggs, when eaten in moderation as a part of a whole food diet, do not increase prostate cancer risk in healthy older men. Nutrients in eggs like choline, selenium, and vitamin D may actually support cell repair, hormonal balance, and prostate function. Of course, if you already have advanced prostate cancer, your care team may tailor your diet differently. But for most older men, the egg is not your enemy. Let me be even more direct. What raises your long-term cancer risk is not the egg. It's the lack of fiber, the ultra-processed foods, the sedentary lifestyle, the chronic stress, and the isolation. In other words, it's not what you crack into your skillet. It's what you do with your days. So here's your closing note. Don't fear the egg. Fear the slow habits that chip away at your vitality. Eat whole foods. Stay in motion. Stay curious. Stay connected. Because your body, it still wants to work for you. You just have to give it the right rhythm, the right fuel, and a little bit of trust. This has been Dr. Jonathan Prescott. Thanks for walking through this journey with me. And if this series helps shift your view on health, even just a little, pass it on. Because strong men don't just protect themselves, they lead others out of confusion and into clarity.